Dexter Morgan, family man, blood spatter analyst, serial killer. He's a very busy guy. But speaking as someone who has killed fewer than 3 people, I often think to myself like, why do I root for him? Why do I empathise with him? The series locks us into Dexter Morgan's perspective by having a voiceover telling us his thoughts in the moment. We hear his thoughts as he goes through his process with killing, his struggles with his dark passenger, and him trying to balance that with a regular life. Whoever said men can't multitask? If you take the serial killer stuff out of the series of Dexter, you get like, 3 episodes worth of stuff? But what you'd have is a story about a guy who struggles in his relationships. Basic social interactions are like a foreign concept to him, and he suffers from workplace bullying from a colleague. All of which I'd argue are causes for us to sympathise with him. So to an extent, I think there's a little Dexter Morgan inside all of us. And to highlight this, I want to compare it to the film American Psycho, both of which explore the life of a serial killer who has a day job, is super competent, and make use of voiceover to explore the character's thoughts. But unlike Dexter, the character of Patrick Bateman is completely irredeemable. He's impulsive, extremely arrogant, completely insensitive to other people, yet crumbles like a dry leaf at the slightest comment. And that's ignoring his more sinister vocation. He's the typical narcissist. And personally, I hate being around those types of people, so watching them I find less fun. Yes, American Psycho is a 2-hour movie, and Dexter is a series which, if you count to the end of Resurrection, will be 126 episodes long. The differing formats demand different types of character. A long-running series needs the status quo and can explore different storylines. A movie has a set beginning, middle and end, so despite Bateman being an insufferable, contemptible individual, part of the catharsis is watching him crash out due to his own actions. And I think that's part of the reason why I've never been keen on watching The Boys. Anthony Starr did a great job of playing Homelander, a despicable character. No hate to him at all, but I think that he played it a little too well. Because all I can think of when watching this is when someone's going to put him out of his misery. A 2-hour movie, yeah, I could probably tolerate, but season after season? If I wanted to watch a maladjusted narcissist surrounded by sycophantic idiots for 4 years, I'd just pay more attention to American politics. And that's just it, I'm tolerating Bateman in American Psycho. I'm waiting for his comeuppance. And I remember thinking while watching this that if he didn't die at the end of it, I'd be incredibly disappointed. And of course he didn't, which is why I think the movie is just mediocre. And just on a side note, I never really got the whole like Ligma male stuff that propped up like a couple of years back. Like, I just thought it was a joke at the expense of these so-called alpha males and using Bateman as a vehicle for that. But to my dismay, the people who actually genuinely find Bateman to be like a role model, which is incredibly surreal, but also just concerning. But with Dexter, I don't hope for his downfall. In fact, on some level, I'm actually invested in him. Invested in a serial killer. Does that make me a bad person? I think on one level, it's his general vibe. He struggles with some social interactions. This might be saying a bit more about myself than others, but there are times where people just confuse me, feeling like an alien on my own planet. Maybe that's because I live a little too much inside my own head, or maybe that's just what being on the spectrum is like. Or there might be something that we all experience, but everyone on Earth for some reason agrees not to talk about. Dexter's non-murderous musings about people strike a chord with me. He claims that he doesn't experience emotions and fakes them, but I'm not entirely convinced. I remember a scene in season 6, sometime after when his new friend Brother Sam is shot, and later dies. Dexter found and confronted the guy who shot him, who also turned out to be a friend of his. After Sam died, he fit the code and wanted to kill him, but Sam urged him to forgive him, and for a moment I honestly believed that Dexter was going to, but when he expressed glee, something snapped. He killed him, but not in his usual way. It was spontaneous, dirty, but most of all it was full of emotion. During his usual killings he doesn't express those types of emotions, then usually he is a bit more reserved. There are countless other times where he shows happiness, grief, anxiety, so I don't think it's that he doesn't feel emotions, but maybe he may experience them a bit differently. The same way that 2 people may not experience red the exact same way, but both know red when they see it. Maybe emotions in this case are basically the same as colour. He's not narcissistic, he doesn't possess an ego that spans the planet, yet is thinner than tracing paper. He's better adjusted than that. Typically in the real world there's a significant overlap between serial killers and narcissists, but Dexter is not in there. He's a killer, yes, but at least he's not a douchebag. On another level, there's the moral licensing. Moral licensing, at its most basic, is where after someone does something good, they feel they have a license to do a little bad. Vsauce did an episode of Minefield on it where they tested random members of the public, whether they would give money to a homeless man if they volunteered to do litter picking, and they found that those who did volunteer felt that they didn't have to give money to the homeless. It was an interesting episode, I would really recommend checking it out. But that idea can be stretched further. If say we do something wrong, and we feel we must do something good to balance it out, is that not just the same idea but backwards? We may judge a stranger more harshly for negative things that they do, compared to when a friend does those same things, because we let previous positive experiences influence our judgment. Is that not moral licensing, but us giving the license to other people? We may also think that if someone does something wrong to somebody else, that may give license to a third party to do bad things to them. And that's what I feel when watching Dexter. His code only allows him to kill other killers. Murder is wrong. I really hope we can all agree on that. No number of puppies saved from burning buildings should ever be used to redeem a 1 free murder coupon. But I think the reason we don't indict him the same way as others is that adding him into the equation results in fewer killers. Therefore, there is an argument that his addition is indeed a net good. He often gets labelled as a vigilante, at times compared with Batman. Although Batman had a no-kill rule, with Dexter it's sort of a requirement. But enough with comparing him to Christian Bale characters. At the end of the day, Dexter is a fictional character. Not just how he's a character in a TV series, but the combination of his component parts. There's just no real-life counterpart to Dexter Morgan. The innate need for justice that may drive somebody to kill a serial killer would also stop them from going off and killing multiple other people. And in a way, he's a combination of contradictory ideas, which make him all the more interesting. One being the innate sense of justice that most of us feel that makes us relate to vigilante characters, like your Paul Kerseys, like your Mad Maxes, your Dirty Harrys, and with those characters there's a significant amount of crossing the line for their brand of justice. But with Dexter, what if the line, instead of being somewhere nearby, it's way over there in the distance? What if this idea was pushed to its extreme? He still has a line, but it's well beyond what most people would be okay with. Even though the show primes us to think of him as relatable, it does however challenge us at times. If we're not okay with it, we have to ask ourselves, why? He fits in the middle of the Venn diagram with the vigilante circle, the macabre voyeurism circle, and the endearingly socially awkward circle, all of which is a unique combination that renders many interesting scenarios. Plus Michael C. Hall's performance is hypnotic at times. It would really be a different show without him. And that's why I think that me, as a non-murderer, sympathise with Dexter Morgan. Now, am I wrong? Is there something wrong with me? Or do you agree? Are there other reasons why you sympathise with this particular character? Please let me know down below. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see, please subscribe and I'll see you later.